close that for now. And let me put this book away for now. It is me. It is me, Jackal, the Jackal. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to my library. As you can see, I'm not wearing my full coat today because we're staying inside the library today. Oh, that's not good. Oh, that's horrible. Oh my goodness. So I put some tea in my. We got boba last night and I didn't drink it, so I put it in my fridge. Oh my goodness, that is not good. That is just straight up not good. Oh my goodness, the boba are like, yeah, they're like grainy rocks. Oh, that's terrible. My goodness.
Jackal! Jackal! It's a jackal!
Well, hello. Vakya? Vakya? Is that how I'd say your name? Welcome, welcome, welcome to the pack. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Jackal. I am a jackal, and we are here in my library today for a nice Bible study. Nice to meet you too. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am just complaining about the boba that I left in my fridge overnight because I'm an idiot. Well, yes, of course. If you don't mind me asking, how'd you stumble upon me? I'm trying to like enjoy this boba, just like. What? What? Now I'm concerned. What? Well, of course. There's no accidents. You're searching for a chill street? Well, you found one. Ah, you ready for a cringy VTuber to tell you about Jesus? Because that's what we're here today about. Yeah, there's a... Do you have time? Because exactly. In fact, there's a big part of this stream is I'm doing a Bible study because I'm also kind of giving a big announcement about like my streaming and stuff. Well, it's about my stream, but it's about my life as a whole. So you're more than welcome here. So, let me just pull up the book. Just let me whip this out. I love 1 Corinthians. No temptation has seized you except what is common to man, and God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear, but when you are tempted, he will also provide a way out so you can stand up under it. Exactly. And that pairs very well with 1 Corinthians, I believe, 7. For, I do what I do not want to do, and I do not do what I want to do. Oh, you're not? Are you Catholic? Interesting. Very interesting. I'll be honest, I haven't encountered very many Muslims who will read the Bible. A lot of the ones I've known have been very adamantly against even reading it because their logic is they don't want to be not persuaded, but which is interesting because if I'm not mistaken, in order for like halal food to be halal, it has one of like the requirements is it has to be like prepared by a quote unquote person of the book, and that includes Jews and Christians. which, yeah. All right. Time to get into this, though. Whoosh. I'm going to turn the music up a bit just so it's like actually noticeable. There we go. Yeah, there can be a lot of strife between the Abrahamic religions, even the ones that all call themselves Christian. I'm part of a group called ARC. If you see, let's see up here in my corner, right up here, way up there where I'm looking. We're a Christian VTuber agency, and we're all Christians, but we're all very different denominations. Two of the people involved are Protestants, two of the people involved are Catholic, and two of the people involved are Mormon. I see. I have read bits of the Quran. I have not read it in its entirety, but I can also say that, as funny as this is, I'm pretty sure there's plenty of there's books of the Bible that I can't quote, just because there's so much. Like the book of Philemon, wonderful book. I can't quote a single verse from it. I'm still learning about all the minor prophets, because there's a lot of them. I'm gonna get into this. So, starting, there's actually, I can recommend you a couple other streamers who are also very, very great. One of which I would say is Prayers from Abigail. She's been a little, she hasn't been streaming as often lately, but she's a Christian sister, and her stream is very welcoming to everybody. So, I'm going to start reading, because I really want to. I really want to get into this. It's a very important passage for me. It's Matthew 9, starting in verse 36. And we're going to be going through the end of the chapter, which is only 2 verses. Turn the volume down a little bit on the music, just because it is a little loud now. But when he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them, because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field." Now I'm going to go through this verse by verse, because there are 3 verses here, and each one is dense with importance. There is another passage that comes at the very end of Matthew that we'll talk about later, but I'm going to start with verse 36 and like what's really going on here. What's so important? What's so vital about this? So, if you don't know, if we go way, way, way back in the etymology of the word Christian was an insult. Teach about Christian religion in synagogues. Yeah, the word Christian was intended as an insult. In the same... Yep. So, basically, the word Christian means, like, little Christ. Like, if we were trying to, like, say that word in English now, it'd probably be something along the lines of, like, Christling. Like, in English, we'll add ling to something, like, as, like, a, or, like, earthling, or, you know, just, it's a miniature version, or a connotation, like, this is where it's coming from. The word Christian means the same thing. It means little Christ. And originally, the word was used as an insult, saying, "Oh, you guys are just trying to act like that guy that we killed." Like you're trying to act like you're martyr. And they're like, yeah, we are. That's kind of the point. So they adopt it and they called themselves Christians because up until then they were disciples. They were disciples of Christ. That was the idea. That's why that's why I'm actually gonna pull it up now. Just give me 2 seconds. Matthew. Boop. Here we are. I was gonna talk about this later, but I'll talk about it now. That's why when he says, "Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations," he doesn't say go and make Christians. He says go and make disciples, because the word Christian didn't come till later. But the point is, the word Christian means little Christs. The connotation is to be like Christ. And Jesus commands throughout his ministry, do as I do. And then Paul, later on, let me actually find where this verse is exactly. Ah, 1 Corinthians, perfect. Whoop. 1 Corinthians, I think it said 11. Yes. Right here, up at the top. Let's look at this in the ESV, though. What are these Bible versions? What am I seeing here? There it is, English Standard Version. Be imitators of me as I am of Christ. In other versions, it will say, imitate me as I imitate Christ. In the NIV, which is the version I mostly read, follow my example as I follow the example of Christ. To be a Christian means to follow Christ, to act like Christ, as to the best of our ability. There's a meme I love. I don't have a picture of it, but it's... Let me see if I can find it. Hold up. If I can find it. Can I find it? That's a good one. I'm going to use this one. Open a new tab. How was that show? There we are. Imitate me as I imitate Christ. There I am, right there. Look at me down there. So, the reason I'm going off on this tangent is because of how Jesus acts in this. When he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. How he felt, and I am very big on this idea of it's not about what you feel, it's about your actions and your heart behind your actions. That's what matters. But your feelings are going to pour out of what's in your heart. In the same way, your actions will reflect what's in your heart. If you are following Christ, if you're imitating Christ, he had compassion when he saw the crowds. That should be our reaction. To see the lost, to see the helpless, to see those that are harassed, like sheep without a shepherd, the reaction should be compassion. Yes. I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have light of life. Yeah. Let me find that specific verse. About 6 chapters later, he says something similar. But we'll talk on that later. So when he saw the crowds, he had compassion on them because they were harassed and helpless, like sheep without a shepherd. Now I'm gonna get into this next verse, but I do want to like emphasize compassion. I explain it to I volunteer with middle schoolers. I do a lot of I do junior high ministry, and the way I kind of explain some things to them, like this, is this like idea of in video games when you have an ability. There are two types of abilities you can have. There are passive and active. Compassion is a passive buff. It's a passive ability. It's something that is going to be persistent. What comes next is where we'd get those ideas of an active ability. The action that follows. There are 3 steps to this. The first thing is there's a moment of compassion. There's a moment where your heart is tugged. Then he said to his disciples, "The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few." Have you ever listen? So I used to live in Central California for a while. Good. All right, have fun. So I used to live in Central California for a while, and I've driven all over the country, through the Midwest, through a lot of farmland. A lot of America's farmland. Like, if you're not from the US, you see the size of our country. It's not all city. It's not even like meadows or stuff like that. It's farms. It's a lot of farms. Like, however much land you think we use for farming, like triple or quadruple it, because it is so much. Like the entirety of the state of Kansas, the entirety of Nebraska, the entirety of like that, like middle of the country right there, that is all corn. There are corn and cows and nothing else. Some of my friends are from Kansas. They will confirm this. There is nothing there but corn and cows. And apparently them. But the thing is, imagine the entirety of the United States. The entirety of it. All that size. Let me pull up the actual like square mileage of the US. Hold up. No, not SU, the US. Of farmland. Let me just do the farmland, the actual farmland. Because we're going to do... Y'all ready? We about to do some math. We're about to do some math here. So, the square mileage of all the farmland in the United States is... Are you ready for this? 1,400,000. 1,400,000 square miles. Now, let's take an arbitrary number of... Hold on, give me 2 seconds. Let's change this number. Let's take the estimated. Let's just say it's about 123, or 120, let's make it an even number, 120 million square miles. Let's just take that arbitrary number there. Let me see here. Okay, sorry. I was trying to find some numbers here. Let's just take that arbitrary number of 120 million. And let's give it just a random number of 200. Let's say there's 200 workers out in this field of 120 square miles. Each worker would have to harvest about 600,000 square miles of land. It's crazy. Even if that was square feet, 600,000 square feet of land, that's still an absurd amount. And trying to harvest all that grain by themselves. Each person. It's nuts. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. The idea here is those that are ready for the harvest, that ripe fruit, that mature grain, whatever. Those are people that are eager to hear the gospel, that they're prepared. Their hearts are ready. Their hearts are ready for the truth. Their hearts are ready for that next step of faith. Now, the idea here, and this is why I say there's 3 steps. Let me explain these 3 steps so far, as we've gotten through the first 2. Is the first, compassion. The heart is being tugged on by the Christian, those that are imitating Christ. They look out on those sheep without a shepherd and have compassion. Their heart is ready. The second part in verse 37, the harvest is plentiful. The people, the sheep, they have way too much wool. Their hearts are ready. The hearts of man are ready. Making sense so far? Because now we're going to get into the last step. The last step here that we got here. Is verse 38. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field. That last step, hearts of man are ready. The hearts of the Christian are ready. Next step is pray. It doesn't say run out into the harvest field. It says pray. I'm about to get an ad and I can't snooze it. So we're about to take a short break while I grab water. And then I'll explain everything. Once I see it go for that break, I'm waiting for it. I'm waiting for it to say there's an ad. Come on. Tell me, Twitch. Is there an ad? Is there an ad? Huh? Yes, no. Come on. I swear, if I just keep talking and it waits until I try and talk about the Bible more. Alright, well, I'm going to keep talking about the Bible, and then as soon as it does, it's going to go for the ad. Okay. Let me look at this really quick. Nope. Alright. I'm gonna go grab water for a second. Yeah. Because I know I'm... Meh. Alright. Ask the Lord of the Harvest, therefore, to send out workers and do... There it is! I knew it. Dang it, Twitch. Just tell me when there's gonna be an ad. Just hit me with the ad. If I could disable the ads, I would. Yeah, no, here's the thing, is it tells me when I'm going to get an ad. Normally it's immediate after, but sometimes it takes a minute to actually, like, go, if that makes sense. So annoying. Anyway, where were we? We were right here. So, it's prayer. Prayer is the next step. Before anything else. Before you go out into that harvest field, before you start talking, you pray. Because every person in the harvest is different. Every worker has a different job. Elsewhere, Jesus uses the analogy of the sower, throwing the seeds out. Here, he uses the idea of a harvester. The person who sows the seed and the person who harvests the grain might not be the same person. They might be, but they might not be. Everyone's job and calling in the kingdom is different. Does that make sense? Not everyone is called to do the same thing. So, where are we called? What is the goal of the Christian? What is the job of the Christian? For some it is to be the sower, as Jesus talks about in the parable of the sower. And when he talks about the sower, it's not someone who like goes around, takes their finger, pokes a hole in the ground, drops a seed in, walks 2 steps, pokes a hole in the ground, drops a seed in. No. That's not how they farmed back then. They took handfuls of the seeds and just went yeet and threw it out. Wherever the seeds landed, they landed. And that's how they did. That's how they made it work. And you know what? It did work. Because they got lots of food. But not all those seeds landed in good soil. Some of them landed on the rocks, where they sprung up quickly and then couldn't take root and they died. Some landed on the roadside where it was so well walked that, well, nothing really could... The dirt was too hard and it couldn't grow, and so birds would eat it. Others landed in some good topsoil that had nothing beneath it. So they sprouted up and, well, roasted in the sun. But then some land in good soil. And that is where the harvest is, in the good soil. But that doesn't mean the sower isn't supposed to go and throw the seeds out. They still are. Preach it to all. Now, I am going to jump back, like I said earlier, to Matthew 28. This is after Christ has risen from the dead. I'm going to start in verse 16. And don't stop me even if you know this verse, because this is one of the most important passages for Christians. Starting in verse 16. Then the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain where Jesus had told them to go. When they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted. Then Jesus came to them and said, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always, to the very end of the age. Now I know down below in the title I have it for Matthew 9, 26 through 28. But I'm going to talk about this as well. Stella finally got her Christmas present. I just got that message. But I'm going to go through this verse by verse as well. Because in the same way, we're going to see a similar pattern. But this is more on the side of the Christian. Because in Matthew 9:36, we see Christ acting it out. This part will be a command. Then the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain where Jesus had told them to go. Keep in mind there's 11 at this point, not 12, because Judas betrayed. They went where they were told to go. They didn't decide on their own. They didn't think, yeah, that mountain looks nice. Let's go to that one. That one's not too bad of a climb. Let's go up that mountain. I think we can make it up that mountain. That mountain over there? Probably not. I don't know if that mountain's a little too difficult. There's no real roads up it. There's no hiking trails. This one though, this one's got a rail on the side for us to hold on to. This one's got a restaurant at the top. This is the mountain we need to climb. To the mountain where Jesus told them to go. Now they must have been confident, right? They must have gone in knowing I have full faith. I'm doing this because I know for absolute certain. There is no question, no doubt, none of that in my mind. When they saw him, they worshipped him. I mean, wouldn't you? I would. But some doubted. Now here's what I want to point out. It doesn't say the ones who doubted didn't go. It doesn't say the ones who doubted didn't worship him. They saw him and they worshipped him, but some doubted. Not one, some. I'm drawing attention to this because those that doubted still obeyed. They didn't go in fully sure with no doubt in their mind that this is where we gotta be. They were questioning the entire way. Climbing a mountain while I'm not sure this is what we're supposed to do. Are we sure? But they went anyway because they were told to. Then Jesus came to them and said, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me." I mean, I don't know what else I can say about that. He's God. And he has all the authority of him. Could you imagine just questioning, if you're doing the right thing, and the person who's, trying to guide you through is just hey, I got this all figured out. I'm the one in charge here. Just listen to me. Because that's what's going on. Those that are doubting are being told that the one they're following is in charge of it. He's the one in charge of it, not them. They're just to follow. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. originally, within time, Israel was called to do something almost identical. Israel itself. They were to be a light to the nations. They were to be the ones who went out and showed the world the glory of God. Through the promise of Abraham, through his son Isaac, through his son Israel. Well, Jacob later become Israel. But we see in the New Testament through Paul, he talks about this. How I will make you the father of many nations. What it didn't play out through Israel. It didn't, not in the way that man would expect. Because Christ was a descendant of Abraham, a descendant of Isaac, a descendant of Jacob, a descendant of David. So that all who follow him will become adopted children, and they will inherit the promise of Abraham, including this command right here. This command we see right here, go and make disciples of all nations. Let me find the verse. Nope, not that one. Genesis 12. Sorry, give me 2 seconds. Right here. I will make you into a great nation, and I will bless you. I will make your name great, and you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and whoever curses you I will curse, and all the peoples on the earth will be blessed through you. In this, the Great Commission, as Christians call it, we weren't designed to keep it to ourselves. Israel was never meant to keep it to themselves. And through Christ, it's reached everyone else, to the Gentiles. It was preached first to the Israelites, but they rejected it. Go and make disciples of all nations, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you, and surely I am with you always, to the very end of the age. In this whole thing, Jesus says, between 18 to 20, there's 3 parts, because there's 3 verses. There's assurance. All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. To him, to Christ. A command. Therefore, go. Go. Don't stay at home. Don't sit on your street corner and wait for people to come to you. Go. And make disciples. teach them what I have taught you. Of all nations, not just the Jews, not just the Greeks, not just the Germans, not just the French, not just the Ethiopians, not just the Americans, not just one people, not just the people who are like you. All nations. Baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Baptism being that public display, that spiritual wedding ceremony. You can be... Baptism is like a wedding ring. Even if you're not wearing the wedding ring, you can still be married. But it's that sign, it's that display. It's the image for all to see. That you're saved, that you are committed. And teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And then lastly, a promise. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age. We're not in this alone. We're not by ourselves in this. We're not acting by ourselves. This is a command given to all Christians. Coming back to Matthew 9. The harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. The world is ripe and ready. There are people in all nations, everywhere, eager and ready to hear the gospel, even if that's not what they know it is yet. Ask, therefore, the Lord of the harvest, pray to send out workers. There's an organization called the Joshua Project. It's basically a surprisingly accurate, very accurate catalog of all the people groups in the world and how well they have been reached. And the definition of a people group, loose. I'll pull up the actual definition. Hold up, because I don't want to butcher this. All right. A people group is an ethno-linguistic group with a common self-identity that is shared by various members. So, basically, it is the largest possible group that share a culture and language. According to the Joshua Project, find this number. In the world, there are 17,281 people groups. Of that 17,281 people groups, just under 42% of them, 7,246 people groups, have not heard the gospel. They've been unreached. And that's just the unreached. Those that have been minimally or superficially reached are another 16.8%. And that's just the people groups, not the actual population. There's this idea that those unreached groups are going to be tribes deep in Africa or in the Amazon or way out in the middle of the desert, far from civilized society. They're not. Five months ago, no, sorry, I say five, fifth month of the year, 9 months ago, about 9 or 10, it's hard to say, keep track, almost 10 months ago, actually, I went on a short-term trip to Japan. A short-term mission trip. I told my stream about this. I've told a lot of people about this, but I haven't told the full story because it wasn't time. In May, I went to Japan on a short-term mission trip, and all it was for was to babysit, basically. I was a glorified babysitter for some missionary kids. Now, in missions, there's this kind of mentality that if you're going to missions, you're providing something. You're doing something. Like you're bringing medical equipment or clean drinking water or something like that. You're helping physically. And those things are good. There's plenty of missions that do that. And they're wonderful. I know a handful of missionaries who go, I can't say where they're going because it's on stream, but they go into really oppressive cultures and open orphanages. Hi Stella. I'm talking about stuff. But I know they open orphanages and do amazing things of pulling people out of, well, sorry to be like blunt about it, human trafficking. They pull them out of human trafficking. They pull them out of sex work. They pull them out of being sold. Take them in. And it's wonderful. At the end of the day, though, it's an avenue. They have compassion for them because they're harassed and helpless like sheep without shepherds. But even more so than just physically helping them is they show them the love of Christ. That self-sacrificing agape love. They get nothing out of it. They give their lives up. They put them on the altar. There's a missionary that my church sponsors who's in jail right now for crimes he didn't commit. But his faith is unshaken. We've quoted 1 Corinthians a couple times this stream. I'm going to continue. 1 Corinthians 13. If I speak in the tongue of men and angels, but I do not have love, I am only the resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all mysteries and all knowledge and have the faith to say that can move mountains, but do not love, I am nothing. If I give all I possess to the poor and give over my body to the hardships that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. In other versions it says, give my body over to the flames. or go to the stake to be burned as a martyr. I gain nothing. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud. It does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. The word in Greek used here is agape. There's many words for love in Greek. Agape is this one, though. It's the most commonly used in the Bible because it's the word C.S. Lewis uses in the Four Loves is charity. He orders, in the Four Loves, C.S. Lewis orders the Four Loves by most natural to least natural. The first one being affection. It's the love of the familiar. Love what you know. And it's not transactional, but it's easy because it's the nearer the dearer. The next is friendship. It's the kind of love that says, what, you too? I thought I was the only one. It's not transactional, but it's the closest thing to transactional love can be because it's give and take. You know, spending time with them it's give and take. The next is romantic love, because romantic love, if it is true, eros, it will be more give than take. But there still is take. You get something out of it because it feels nice. It's enjoyable to be with someone you love. The last one is charity, in Greek agape. And the reason he uses charity is because agape is so deep. Agape is self-sacrificing, unconditional love. Charity is sacrificial. It's giving freely. You don't get anything out of giving to charity. Yeah, you get a nice fuzzy feeling, but it's doing good for the sake of doing good. Now imagine your life. Everything you love in life. Everything you have, everything you hold dear, all your friends, the closeness of your family, your favorite restaurant down the street. And one day, God says, pick up your cross and follow me. This past May, when I went to Japan on a short-term trip, I felt a tug in my heart while I was on a walk. We were up in the mountains, technically still in Tokyo, but we were up in the mountains, and I was on this really nice walk when I walked past a small wooden house. When I say small, I think like a birdhouse. Tiny little thing, really cute. An important detail is this sounds weird, there's no litter in Japan. There's no, you don't see trash on the side of the road in Japan. It just isn't a thing. And yet, this little tiny thing that looked like a birdhouse was stuffed full of strips of paper. It was a shrine. That tiny little shrine, and each one of those pieces of paper was a prayer. I know my model's smiling, but I don't remember my hotkey for crying. I want to say is it this one? Nope, that's the other mouth. Is it this one? Nope, that's that one. I don't remember the button for it, but it broke my heart. Because these weren't just little wishes. Prayers aren't wishes. These were people's hopes and dreams. Likely prayers for health, for someone to get better, for them to find a job, for hope. And they were just stuffed inside a little box, hoping that whatever lived in there would see it. That was where it started. And the entire time I was there, for the rest of the week, that tug on my heart got stronger and stronger and stronger. And I had to know more. I prayed. I prayed to the Lord of the harvest. And I prayed. And I spoke to the missionaries there. And when I got back home, I prayed. And fasted and prayed constantly. I don't do well with fasting. And like when I say that, my friends know the last time they saw me fast, a full fast, I got like really sick because I had I got a massive migraine and I almost passed out. I fasted for 2 straight days in praying. I took it so seriously. And every time I prayed, every single time, I didn't get a voice from heaven. I didn't get a beam of light shining down with a dove descending. I didn't get this booming voice in the thunder in a massive storm. There was no raging fire, no earthquake. There was a still, small voice. Almost a whisper. Reminding me in every prayer of a different time in my life. A different moment in my life where I felt the world was falling around me. I felt everything I knew crumbling, and I couldn't understand why. And it changed something in me. Before this trip, I was praying so heavily about where my life was going because nothing I tried was working. And I couldn't understand God's plan. In these prayers, God answered it. He showed me all the heartbreak, all the failure, all the rejection, all the times I was forced to move and drop everything I knew. To prepare me to do it one more time. There are 123,218 people in Japan. – 68.1% of them are Zen Buddhist. 2.16% of them identify as Christian. Which sounds good, but when it's actually broken down and we go into the people groups and we go to the primary people group of Japan, which is Japanese, .2 of them identify as Christian. Sorry, 1.2% of them identify as Christian. And that's Christianity broadly speaking. That's identifying as it. That doesn't say what their heart is. That doesn't... Because in America, we say a lot like, oh, I'm Christian. Do you go to church? No. Do you read your Bible? No, I haven't in a long time. They'll say they're Christian, but it's a title. It's a label for them. There's no heart behind it. There's no desire for it. It's surface level. Of that roughly, of the 117,840 of specifically the Japanese people group, only 0.3% are evangelical Christian. Which I'm not to say that the other branches of Christianity aren't saved. That's not what I mean by that. It's just that that's the percentages. 1.2% identify as Christian. It's better than it was, but when we talk about unreached people groups, we think of tribal people out in the middle of nowhere. When Japan has 120,652,100, 97.9% of the population is unreached. They've never truly been explained what a Christian is, what it means to be Christian, and who Christ is. To them, it's a Western religion. The reason I'm talking about this is because that tugging on my heart that I felt in Japan led me to talk to some missionaries, led me to pray and reach out. And over the past 9 or 10 months, I have been prayerfully walking and praying and walking and praying and walking and praying with an organization. And as of the beginning of this month, I am officially placed with Japan, and I'm to start training already. Actually, I've already started my training, but I'm going to be starting my in-person training very soon. I'm going to be starting my training not this Saturday, but next Saturday. I'm flying out to the mission headquarters. I'm going to be a missionary to Japan. Long term. This is me officially announcing it to my internet friends, my internet people. Some of them already know, but I'll be honest. Within my church, it's been kind of like the worst kept secret, because kind of a lot of people knew because rumors went around. And also I'm really not subtle with it, because I've been slacking on it for the past couple months, but I've been learning Japanese, and I talk about, missions in Japan a lot, because it matters to me. It matters to me a lot. I'm not a very teary, cryy person. Very few things make me cry. The idea of someone living and dying without ever hearing of Christ. Makes me feel like I have a knife in my chest. Especially with Japan, because they have one of the highest suicide rates in the world. They're a beautiful country, a beautiful people and culture. One missionary I spoke to described them as a culture of contrasts. And what they meant by that is they're a culture, they're a people that love the beauty of creation. They value nature so incredibly. They marvel at nature, at creation's beauty, but can't see the creator. They present this world, they present this imagery of a perfect utopia. And a lot of the West sees it that way. But just under the surface, there's sadness, hopelessness. So much so that young people aren't having kids. They're not getting married because why would they? They have to work so hard to support themselves. Why would they get into a relationship, get married and have kids if they can barely support themselves? I love people. I'm an introvert by all metrics. I am an introvert. I am very much someone who does not like going out. God told me no. He doesn't care how I feel about that. He's told me, you prayed for workers to be sent out. Guess what? Pack your bags. So, on the lighter side of all this, on the more, what's the word? How would I put this? On the business side of things, I have no idea if this is going to affect my streaming. I don't intend for it to. I haven't spoken to my organization yet about my streaming because I do keep this relatively separate from my personal life for the most part. And I'm very good about maintaining my privacy for the most part. I might do a donathon or something like that to kind of help me get some savings up so I can continue my training and do my support raising. The only reason I'm concerned about doing that is because I can't, without doxing myself, have everyone on my prayer partner list and my support list. You know what I mean? Which is unfortunate because I'd love to be able to share all that with the world. I'm excited. I am beyond excited. I'm scared, but I'm excited. Now say a prayer for you. Please do. Yes. I'll actually send. Okay, so Blossom, I'll actually send you a link because the organization I'm with. This is probably gonna like low-key dox which organization I'm with if you actually were to do research, but they have this thing called Prayer 938. Basically I get a text at 9:38 every morning. I'm not joking. They text me every single day at 9:38 in the morning, about someone who's considering missions. They hide the names, so they don't say the actual name of the person. They use a pseudonym. I believe in their system, I show up as Hamilton, which I'm fine with that. I'm fine with being called Hamilton. That is a peak name. Part of me wants to like name it. If I have a son, I might like give him Hamilton as like a middle name or something. Because like, come on, that is a great name. That's my new name, Hamilton the Jackal. No, okay. Hamster VTuber, Hamilton the hamster, bruh. Someone get on it. Someone get on it. Anyway, but the reason is 9:38 in the morning. It's because of Matthew 9:38. Ask the Lord of the harvest, therefore, to send out workers into his harvest field. Prayer. Prayer is what matters. Pray for the missionaries. Pray for the people of Japan. Pray for the people of India. Pray for the people of China. Pray for the people of Indonesia, of the Philippines, of Korea, of Russia, of Turkey, of Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Georgia, Lebanon, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Ethiopia, Somalia, Zimbabwe, Germany, Sweden, Norway, England. We send missionaries to Europe. You know that, right? Because they're lost. Like sheep without a shepherd. There are people in every nation, every tribe, every tongue, every corner of this world who don't know the unconditional, redeeming, everlasting love of Christ. And it's our job to show it. So that's all I've got today. And I'm really happy to finally be able to talk about this. I had been waiting for very specific criteria to be met before I announced it. Very specific criteria. A big part was I wanted to know when my vision trip would be, because in going to Japan, I have to have a vision trip, and that will be in May this year. 12 months after I went on my first trip. I was in Japan for 6 days. And God was like, hey, guess what? Guess what you're doing with the rest of your life? You thought you were going to be doing film stuff? You thought you were going to be a director or a producer? Good one. No, I'm sending you to a country where you will stand out more than anyone else. I'm sending you to a place where it is so radically different from everything you know. I'm going to use you. I encourage people to go on short-term trips. I really do. And if you ever want to, I will find resources for you to look into going on a short-term trip. There are so many. So many. If the website I was referencing earlier, the Joshua Project, there are lists of how many workers are needed for the people groups. These are like minimal numbers. So let me just do this math for you really quick, because I pulled numbers out of my earlier for this, but they're estimated to be 117,840 people in the Japanese people group. So let's do this math. 117,840 According to this, 2,357 workers are still needed. And what that number comes out to is that is still 5,000 people a person. Do you want to take a wild guess what the average size of a church is in Japan? I genuinely want to hear what your guesses are. Don't look it up. How many people do you think are on average in a church in Japan? I really want to hear your guesses. I really do. You're not wrong. Just shot in the dark. Take a guess. Take a guess how many people are in the average church in Japan. Not many per 1,000? That's very accurate. 30 is a large church. On average, this is taking into account the highs and the lows. 8. 8 to 10. That's what I'm going into. I can walk down the street of Tokyo and say with very sad confidence that I might be the only Christian in view. So yeah, pray for workers. Pray for me, pray for Japan. So, before I wrap up, does anyone have any questions about Matthew 9:48? Or any of the stuff I've been talking about? Because I'd love to answer, and I'd love to talk about it. Because otherwise, I'm going to be wrapping up here. Let me see here. Alrighty. Well, I'm going to send us over to my buddy, Arithmetic. No, sorry, not Arithmetic. Not the math. He's not math. He's actually not even that good at math. Tell him that. Bad at math, Raid. But yeah, we're going to go over to him. And yeah, for the record, Riff actually is a very, very good friend of mine. Me and him volunteer at the same church. We know each other really well. We're probably going to hang out later today. So, yeah. Treat him with Treat him with more love, kindness, and respect than you would treat me. Until next time, everybody. I'm probably going to post something about this, and I will save this VOD specifically. So, yeah. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.